about Mexican Independence Day, we can call this Teddy Atlas here in Las Vegas, Nevada. You heard it from the champion himself. Man, we're simply knocking out the competition. Rich Ortiz here with the fighter's voice, the only voice that matters. And like Eddie
Lopez, because Josh Taylor is
the 4th division world champion, Mikey Garcia.
Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. I'm your host, Richard Ortiz of The Fighter's Voice, the only voice that matters. And I'm here with former world champion and world-renowned trainer of the year, first ballot Hall of Famer, ladies and gentlemen. The future is always looking bright for Robert Garcia and, you know, the whole stable, himself, his brother Mikey, the family, everybody there is one big happy family in House of Champions. Ladies and gentlemen, our guest, Mr. Robert Garcia. Welcome to The Fighter's Voice, Robert.
Thanks, Richard. Thanks for having me. It's always great being with you. You know, you always have a friend. You know, for whatever you need. You know, I'm
I
always here
appreciate
for
that,
you.
man. And, you know, a lot of people may want to just say that, but I know you absolutely mean it, man, because, you know, you've always opened up your gym to us here at the Fighter's Voice. And, you know, it feels like family when I'm there. I feel, you know, at home.
100%. Anytime, definitely.
Listen,
You know that.
before I go on and talk about a show that was on, off again, off again, I want to talk about the good news. I want to talk about the prodigal son has come home, Robert. Virgil Ortiz Jr. back at Robert Garcia's boxing academy. I mean, at 154 pounds, better, stronger, can run faster, can leap bounds and boundaries like the $6 million man. I mean, you know the story. Tell us about you guys reuniting. And I always said, iron sharpens iron.
You know what? The kid is a great kid. The talent he's got is unbelievable. And you know, when he left my gym, it was a little, a little sad that we were not gonna work together. But you know, I always wished him the best. He's a great fighter, great person. You know, he had his personal reasons, and I never blamed him. You know, he had the right to do it, and I never blamed him for making that decision. I was okay with it too, because yeah, there was some things that I could have done better, but that's the past. I flew out to Dallas a couple months ago after the problems that he had from his last fight. Went to go visit him, had a good talk with him and his dad, and that started our relationship again. To For him to come train with us again, we always stayed in touch. That dad and myself, we always text back and forth. Just different stuff, just jokes, just
Yeah.
as friends. Hector Beltran, also with my son, always stayed in touch. So we never really ended up a relationship where we were not talking to each other, or we were mad at each other. Never, that never happened. Everything always ended in good terms. And when I went to see him in Dallas, beautiful house that he has. I'm very happy that he's put his money in the right places. A couple houses that he already owns, stuff like that, made me happy, and made me much more happy to hear that he wanted to come back and train with us, and now this is his first week. Been doing a great job, trying, gonna get him back, in top shape. His dad, myself, Pita, my dad is always in the gym, also giving him advice and telling him little things. I think he loves that, and this is gonna be the beginning of, I think, a great boxing future.
And, you got a great team there, with Charles and, I know his personal doctor here in Fresno, California, Dr. Batista. And of course, he has a manager that sleeps with
Right.
one eye open. And, his dad, you being there. And I think it's a great team, a great recipe, Robert. And you always kept it classy. You always kept your door open for him. Every time he fought, you always rooted for him, had nothing but positivity to say coming out of your mouth.
I was, I never really had anything against him. The kid is a great kid, like I told you, but not just as a great kid or a great family, but the talent that he's got, the potential. I always say to the kid, I was never afraid to say he was not ready for any, like Crawford or Spence. I always said, you guys might think that these guys are so talented, or Boots Ennis. I always said, oh, yeah, they might be very talented, and maybe most of the world will pick them over Virgil. But when you have a kid like Virgil, that the first few rounds, you might be able to be successful, but when you have six, seven,
Hmm.
5 rounds left, and you have a monster like Virgil Ortiz on top of you, you're gonna be in big trouble. It doesn't matter how talented you are. When you have somebody like Virgil, because I know Virgil very strong physically, mentally, there's no stopping this kid. So he's gonna give anybody trouble, and he'll beat most of those guys. Honestly, I believe so. Now at 154, obviously we got to try it out. We got to try out this weight division first, because we don't know how his body's gonna react. Also, so eventually, maybe sooner than later, maybe pick up a title at 154. But I think this kid belongs at
I
middleweight.
agree with you. I mean, the kid's strong, and you're going to see the best Virgil Ortiz someday at 168 once his body fills out, and that's way down the line. Uh, Robert,
I
I'm
agree.
gonna be honest with you. I think he's 2 fights away before they start matching him up with Tim Zoo.
Well, there's so many fights out there. I know even Charlo. If he gets back to defend his titles, I really don't know. After he made all this money with Canelo, and a lot of fighters, it happens to a lot of fighters. They get too comfortable with too much money, so maybe he might decide to go up to 160, so he doesn't have to cut those extra 6 pounds to
Yeah,
154. You never know. So some titles might go vacant. There's all those opportunities. So I really don't know what's going to happen, but I know that Virgil could pick up a world title by next year. I think he should 1 or 2 fights and then fight for the title. And like I told you, eventually we'll end up at
Robert,
middleweight.
I completely forgot all about that. I mean, 154 moved up 2 weight divisions, and I do see Charlo moving up eventually to 160. I mean, he's going to be more comfortable there, stronger there, and yeah,
I
you're
think so too.
absolutely right. Fighting for a
He,
vacated
he
belt.
got he made, when a fighter makes too much money, some get very comfortable, and the easy way out for them is why cut all the way to 54 when he could fight at 160, and he could still be very successful 160 with so many big fights in the division. I think he'll be very comfortable 162. So I think Charlo might, unless there's a big pay per view fight against Crawford, he might stay to defend his titles at 154. But I don't know if Crawford. I think Crawford mentioned something about him not being too interested in fighting Charlo because of the way he performed in his fight against Canelo. He didn't even try. So Crawford might not be that interested anymore because now that he's not undisputed either. Now Sue has the WBO title, so that might not interest Crawford anymore. Maybe Crawford looks at something
Well,
bigger.
I could respect his attitude and wanting to fight the best, and if somehow he would have pulled a major upset and been the winner, then I can see that fight taking place. But not trying is one statement, but also getting countered with that big right hand is another statement in those body shots that Canelo was offering that day of the fight.
True.
So, Robert, Fresno, California, getting ready for Robert Garcia to show up. Mikey Garcia was going to be there. I'm hearing Arnold Barboza was going to be there, and possibly a few others were going to be there. Some of these fighters, they sold out completely. I know I talked to Jesus Haro. They sold like $17,000 worth of tickets. Um, Also, Jesse Guerrero also sold some tickets. But you know what? Mother Nature has his own mind. They have their own agenda, Robert, when it's outside. I never really thought of it. Us sometimes as media fans and just want to see the fights go on. What I didn't think about was, say it does rain, walking up and coming down those stairs without rain on a beautiful day is very hazardous. A lot of things can happen. Can you imagine the possibility of things happening right there? I know the California State Athletic Commission, they said, no, we're not going to be responsible from what I was hearing, and they canceled the whole show. So I know you did everything within your power. Tell us about how it went on again, off again, on again, another day, possibly a Sunday. And then it went back to possibly maybe the week after on Thanksgiving to possibly the day of. And then all of a sudden, the cancellation.
You know what? We tried everything. We tried everything to make this show happen because we know all those kids that that sold their tickets, that worked their ass off with their, to get ready for the fight, plus their family members, parents buying the tickets and supporting. We know how much the kids were hustling all those tickets, and it's just unfortunate that we tried everything. We tried Saturday, Sunday, but those days the commission were not available for us. Then we tried the following week, the day after Thanksgiving, Saturday the 25th, Sunday the 26th. But all those days were taken. They just weren't available with the commission. The commission told us that those days weren't available. We even tried Wednesday before Thanksgiving, but that was also not available. We try to find so many dates, so many openings to try to make the fight happen, because we know I have my fighters in my gym. I fight myself also, and I know how hard fighters train, how hard the parents support their kids by going around selling tickets, all the family members buying tickets, friends. It's a lot of work, not only for us, but for also the fighters in training, the family members buying tickets, selling tickets, and convincing people to come and show up. We tried everything to make the show happen. Friday's supposed to be a rainy day, so the commission told us we couldn't do it, and then the rest of the days were not available. I'm what I am doing is. We already have a show December 2nd, which is a couple weeks after, but it's in Oxnard, California. So what I'm doing is I'm adding a few of those guys that were scheduled to fight on the Fresno card. I can't do them all because I already had nine
wow.
fights in the Oxnard show. So I'm gonna add four more. So I do have four of the kids that were scheduled to fight on the Fresno show move to December 2nd, because I just have to do something about it, because I can't just tell them sorry till next time. I got to try to help out at least three or four of those kids, and eventually go back to Fresno, because this is not gonna. I'm not walking away. I know it's not. The rain wasn't allowing, but I knew it was gonna be a great event, a great card. So we're going back. Rick Merrigan already told me that he's gonna try to book the a location for February. Hopefully in February we do the same show we were supposed to have. We'll bring it back in February, and I'm pretty sure Rick's gonna look for a place where we could have it indoors. That way we don't have to worry about no weather conditions. We just go out there and do our show and have a successful show, just the way we were supposed to have it this
Robert,
Friday.
what made you choose to have your show and who gave you that idea about having the show in Fresno, California?
Well, look, Rick has always been a big time supporter of me, of my team, and part of the team. He's part of our team. He manages a few of my fighters. He brought me Jose Ramirez to camp with us. So he's a great person, always trying to help out. So he's the one that told me, look, we have an opportunity here in Fresno. There's a lot of local kids. There's a lot of fighters. A lot of kids that are very popular. So why don't we bring one of your shows over here? So he's the one that brought it up. But after everything that we went through, I feel obligated to come back, and hopefully February, like Rick said, we're gonna try to find a location in February, and definitely do it, and it won't be the last. I want to continue doing them. I want to do shows, in Southern California, maybe four every per year, another four in Central Valley, Northern California, and another four in Texas. Because I'm already doing the ones in Texas. I'm the ones in Southern California. I'm already doing. So I think Central California and Northern California is perfect. I think from what the response that all these kids, were selling $15,000 worth of tickets, $17,000 worth of tickets. That's really good. So I have to continue doing this. Not only to keep the kids active, because most of the kids haven't fought in a while. Most of the kids haven't had that opportunity to be on an event. So there, a lot of these kids haven't fought this year. So I'm bringing them back. So hopefully they're patient enough and wait for February. Because when we come back, I think we want to do at least 3 to 4 shows in the Central Valley, Northern California areas. We definitely
Okay,
want to
I
do
don't
it.
mean to be a stickler because I am going to move on. How long ago did you and Rick have that conversation about coming down to Fresno? Okay.
It's been a few months already. It's been a few months. We've always, Rick has always been talking to different casinos, different locations in the Fresno area, in the Central Valley. But there's always it's always a little bit hard for
Yeah.
casinos and stuff like that because we don't have the TV, we don't have an ESPN, I don't have a DAZN, I don't have Fox, I don't have Showtime, which no longer in boxing, but you know, a casino wants, obviously their shows on TV, on national TV, where the
Yeah.
world sees that the casino is hosting the show. Without any TV network, then it's a lot harder. So Rick works his ass off, but it's
Yeah.
always difficult, to bring the casinos in because there's no TV, and I'm still not that top of a promoter, that level to be able to bring, but
Yeah,
I
you
will
will.
be soon.
Robert, I'm going to go to the archives. Me and you, we had this conversation a year ago. I did a show for you in San Bernardino. Jose was fighting on a Saturday. And I said, why not bring Robert Garcia's Boxing Academy House of Champions on Friday to Fresno, California? It's on record a year ago. We had that conversation. You go, Richard, that's a great idea. I'm going to talk to Rick about it. So there's where it
Hmm. You know
manifested. There's
what?
where it became life, my man.
That's something that I'm gonna bring up to Rick because I know Rick is working on something huge for Jose, and if I'm not mistaken, it'll be early in the year and it'll be
Good.
close by. So if that's the case, like we've done with shows in Texas, when Mikey
Yeah.
fought in San Antonio against Lipinets,
The very
we
next
had a
day.
show the night before. When Mikey fought Errol Spence in Dallas, we
Yep.
had a show the night before, and they were all very successful. So if we're able to do something with Jose early in the year, sometime in February or March, then I think the night before would be perfect to have a House of Champions boxing event with all the local kids and all the kids that were already scheduled to fight. I'm definitely going to do that. I'm definitely going to bring that up
Absolutely.
to Rick.
Actually, I'll tag you on that video because we spoke about that on that video a year ago about having it a day before.
Right.
Um, I'm glad you are going to bring those up. Please tell me that Jesse Guerrero's going to be on that show. Please tell me that Jesus Haro's going to be on that show.
Yes.
Gabriel Jr.
Oh, 100%. Look, those kids work their ass off hard. I'm trying to put them also,
Okay.
on my card December 2nd, just so they could get back in the ring. I'm trying very hard. I think we might have that opportunity because I'm telling you, we're gonna have to end up with like 13 or 14 professional fights on my December 2nd card. Just because I think I need to do that for some of those kids. I can't promise them all because it'll be 20 fights, and definitely the
Yeah.
commission will never allow me that. But I'm trying to add 3 or 4 to my card just to keep some of those kids happy. And then when we come back February or March, definitely
Okay,
100% they'll
man.
be there.
Hey, you gave me a credential. I'll go there and cover it. Absolutely,
100%,
man.
definitely.
Well, listen, there's going to be some fights coming up. We're going to start off with, we're moving on. We got December 2nd, but November 25th, Benavides and Andrade. I mean, that's not an easy fight for any fighter. I have it going 60-40 back and forth. At day of, it could be easily 50-50 because Andrade needs those type of fights to bring out the best in him, those opportunities. We already know what David can do in big fights, but I believe to this date, this has to be his toughest opponent. Please correct me if I'm wrong. Give me your whole aspect going into this fight.
I think you're right. Look, when you have somebody like Demetrius Andrade who is a former world champion, but has always been left behind. Like even when he was fighting for top rank, his fights were never to a point where he was headlining or never made him a household name, a big star. Then he signed with Matchroom, and that kind of he became champion, but still his fights were not to a point where the world was excited about his fights. But the good thing about him is that he could fight. He's a talented guy. I remember him fighting on one of Mikey's cards, and I think Nonito Dronero also, and very talented kid. He's always been very talented, and that's probably why he's always been held back, because the top guys have never been wanting to fight him. So he's never had that opportunity. I know he's challenged everybody. He's challenged everybody, but he's never had that opportunity. Nobody takes that risk because he's not a big name, but he's a big fucking threat. You know, he could beat anybody. So Benavides is taking that risk. Benavides is taking that risk, and Benavides is going to be in a tough fight because Andrade is going to bring his best because he wants to show the world that he belongs among the best in the world. So he knows that beating Benavides could easily get him a Canelo fight. So that would change his life forever. So I think Benavides is going to be in the toughest fight of his career. I still think Benavides' size, like you said, maybe 60-40. I pick Benavides. I give the Benavides the edge, but it's not going to be easy. I think Andrade is going to put up a great fight.
I agree with you. I think win, lose, or draw, he's going to show the whole world exactly what he's made of, and he'll go on to have some other fights ahead of him because of his performance. I'm not counting him out at all, but David,
Exactly.
I mean, David has shown exactly how to step up when the pressure's on there. Andrade's saying to himself, I want that opportunity. I want to show the world exactly what I'm made of. And you're absolutely right. Him and Canelo would be a huge fight.
Look, I know that Canelo has a few fights with PBC, so I'm guessing. I can't guarantee because I don't see the paperwork, but I'm guessing that they promised Demetrius Andrade, you beat Benavides, you fight Canelo, and it just makes sense. The whole world wants to see Canelo versus Benavides. But if you have a fighter in Demetrius Andrade that beats Benavides, then there's no question that he'll fight Canelo. And Canelo still has two more fights with PBC, so I'm sure one of them will be against Demetrius Andrade if he beats Benavides. So that's why Andrade is going to come at his best, and it's gonna give Benavides the hardest fight of his life. I still think Benavides wins, but it's not going to be easy.
The whole world at one point, they wanted to see Kenny Norton taking on Joe Frazier. We never got to see it. Why? Because Joe Frazier ran into Big George Foreman. And they say, it changed history. So those guys never got to match up, which would have been a great fight. Can you imagine Kenny Norton, Joe Frazier? That would have been a great fight. This has the potential of the same recipe.
Exactly.
Now, Andrade has his own journey.
Exactly.
He doesn't care what you have, what your agenda is. He's there not to play spoiler. He believes in himself. He went knocking on that door, and he called out the best of the best. So, in fact, this is what boxing needs. This is a throwback to the old school fights. Robert, wouldn't you agree?
100%. Look, this year, with all the fights that have been happening in this year, all the big fights, big events, record-breaking gates, great pay-per-views. I think brought boxing back. Even those MMA fighters fighting for a super heavyweight against the super heavyweight champion. Even those YouTubers. That helps because we're getting new
Audiences.
new subscribers, new members, new followers into boxing. We're already all watching, but then with MMA fighter, fighting a heavyweight champion of the world, that's already bringing new fans into boxing. You have a YouTuber who's also making a lot of noise and numbers on pay-per-view and stuff like that. So we're getting new people into boxing. And then you have the real fights like Crawford Spence, who gave us a fight that we've been waiting for a few years. We still had Ryan Garcia and Tank. doing so good in pay-per-view numbers and the gate and all that. So we had a great year in Nui against Fulton, Canelo's fights. I think this year has been
It
great
has,
in
and
boxing.
we're all looking forward to the little big men of the world, and I'm talking about, in my opinion, I'm gonna go out on a limb, possibly the best footwork in boxing, and I'm talking about Bam Rodriguez, his angles that he brings. Let's talk about his upcoming fight, the matchup, and where do you see him in the year 2024?
You know what? This kid is one of the most talented kids I've ever worked with. He, I've met him. I've known him since he was 10 years old, but started bringing him over to camp at 15. True Pro at 17. Since the first day at 15, when he was already part of RGBA, I always told everybody this kid is going to be special. This kid is special. But it wasn't easy because of
Yeah.
his weight division. He started up at 108, so I always, I tried every promoter in the world, but nobody gave me the attention. You know, Top Rank gave me a few spots during the pandemic, but it was spots because they had their shows Tuesdays and Thursdays, so they had to fill up cards. So they knew I was local from Riverside. We drive to Vegas. We don't have to fly. It was very hard flying
Yeah.
people in because of the pandemic. It was very hard. A lot of cancellations because of testing positive. So he knew, Top Rank knew that all my fighters were in one house. All my fighters were in camp. We would all drive together, so it made it a lot easier. So they gave me a lot of spots, not only with Bam, but many of my other fighters. I got a lot of spots on those Top Rank shows during the bubble, and Bam got a couple of opportunities, and they loved the way he performed. But his weight division, for some reason, it didn't really interest them or something. I asked them for let's sign this kid, let's sign the kid many times. But oh yeah, we will, but never did. I called Golden Boy Promotions too. Golden Boy had a champion at that time, a 108-pound champion from Nicaragua. Can't remember his name, but he was the IBF champion from Nicaragua. Him and his brother were also his brother was also a champion. But bottom line is, I told him through my friend Ernest Gavion, who was working with Golden Boy. I said, look, give me that shot. Give me that title shot against that the kid from Nicaragua, and he'll be Golden Boy's fighter. Never got back to me. So it seemed
Yeah.
like because of his weight division, and then finally we were able to. Oh no, another one that I also called
Eddie Hearn?
Canelo's
Oh,
trainer,
Reynoso, yeah.
Eddie Reynoso. I called Eddie Reynoso. I said, Eddie, you have a Japanese champion. He was promoting a Japanese champion at 108. I said, look, I have Jesse Rodriguez. Give me that fight, and he'll be your fighter. He'll fight for you. You'll be his promoter. I offer him, and he actually Eddie Reynoso actually gave me a date in Puerto Vallarta to fight for the title. But a few weeks went by, everything was good, but then I didn't get anything back, so the fight never happened. So I was pretty much begging everybody for an opportunity. So then we get this opportunity in Fresno where Mikey was the headliner, Mikey's last fight, and we told Eddie Hearn. Mikey told Eddie Hearn, okay, I'll fight on your card, but you have to have Bam on that card, fight for the world title. So they brought in, they had the champion kid from Mexico that was gonna fly in to fight Bam on that card in Fresno. But 2 weeks before the fight, he had visa issues or something where he couldn't travel. So then they just found a quick replacement. So Bam didn't fight for the world title, but Matchroom told him, okay, we didn't fight for the title. We'll add you to the card in February in Arizona, where Rungvisai was supposed to fight Cuadras for the WBC super flyweight title. So Bam was getting ready to fight an 8-rounder at 108 pounds. And 1 week before the fight, Kevin Rooney calls me and tells me, Robert, do you think Bam is crazy enough to jump 2 divisions to fight Carlos Cuadras? Because Rungvisai is sick. He's pulling out of the fight. I didn't have to ask Bam. I told Kevin Rooney, yes, make the fight. And he told me, don't you have to talk to Bam first? I said, no, I don't. Make the fight. So right after that, I called the dad and I called Bam, and they were both in agreement. And look, now he's a world champion. Now he's one of the best fighters in the world. Matchroom gave us that opportunity, and we're very grateful that Matchroom were the ones that had faith and made him a world
I
champion.
remember a conversation I had with Bam when he didn't get that title opportunity, and he said, "You got to trust the process," and he did. And as they say, the rest is history. I mean, he's writing his own journey, and with you by his side, and you didn't take no for an answer. You were very persistent, and in this sport and in life, that's
Never
exactly
did.
the recipe to success.
Look, I always said that when Bam was getting started. I've been saying this for a little over a year, 2 years about Raymond Murataya, and I think he's showing it in the ring what he's capable of doing. He's already showing it. The kid is special. He's going to be one of those special ones too. And I have some really young, talented kids in my gym that are also going to be
No,
special.
you do, and you're stable alone. Everybody wants to go there, Robert, and I know you're very selective, but you give everybody that opportunity to be seen. And
I give everybody an opportunity, and I'm very grateful that I have that team behind it because it's just not me. I wouldn't be able to do it by myself. My dad is always in the gym, always part of giving an advice, talking to the fighters. Just that itself helps the fighters so much. I have Pita, Chepe, Felipe, Charles. You know, everybody works very hard. I wouldn't be able to have the team that I have if it wasn't for everybody together. And now that Virgil's back, the team is so excited, so happy. The guys that I have in the gym that are sparring Virgil, they're more than happy to just say that they're sharing the ring with Virgil. So that's a big plus. Now that I know by next year Virgil will fight for the world title and he will become champion of the world. Raymond Murataya could also get an opportunity for the world title. So I have a solid team right now. Bam should continue moving up in weight divisions and winning titles. So I'm very happy with the team that I have. And then the young ones fighting on the undercards, fighting on GARCIA Promotions, on House of Champions shows, Fresno, California, Texas. 2 3 years from now, all those young ones will be the ones like Bam is right now, like Virgil is right now, like Murataya is right now. Those kids will be there in
I
three
like
years
that
from now.
kid you call Fat Albert, man. I like that kid.
Albert is a great, talented kid. He's fighting on Bam's card,
Nice.
December 16th. I also have Arturo Cardenas. Legally, he's Arturo Popoca, but he goes by Arturo Cardenas. That's what he likes better, so we respect that. So he's on the same card. So it'll be Bam and Albert Gonzalez, Albert Chop
Right.
Chop Gonzalez, and Arturo Cardenas on the same card. So we'll have another busy night
Exactly.
that night.
Robert, right on your door. I mean, we've talked about it before. We got to put up a banner right on your door. Iron sharpens iron. Because, like you said, Virgil being there, it brings out the best in everybody. It motivates you. Jose being in there, Mikey stopping by, Bam in
Exactly.
there. Frankel still stops by and gets that itch now and then, and just knowing that they're in good hands with not just a trainer, but a former world champion, a Hall of Famer. Your dad, what he brings in there. Everybody, as anybody has been in there, that's a world champion. Iron sharpens iron inside of that gym, man.
You know what? That's what makes my gym what it is. Because not only does iron sharpen iron, but it's also it's also like a gym where you walk in and you're gonna be motivated. You're gonna be pushed by somebody like Virgil Ortiz who trains very hard. Somebody like Bam or Mikey just going in there to give the kids a few rounds because Mikey likes to go in there and get 4 or 5 rounds of sparring. So if any of my guys gets to spar Mikey, that motivates them. They walk out of the ring. Mikey tells them, "Man, you did good. Work on this, work on that." My dad, man, that's just it's it's a no brainer for the kids, man. You know, it's a win
It
win for
is, man.
them.
You know, next time I go to your gym, man, I'm not even gonna bring my camera. I'm gonna bring my gear, man, and maybe I'll slim down, and me and Allie can get in there and mix it up a little bit.
Right. That would
Yeah,
be a great
exactly.
idea.
Let's talk about December 9th. Regis Prograis, Haney. It's going to happen. San Francisco. Devin Haney reminds me of a modern day
Yes,
Terry Norris. I mean, just off the jab. And Regis reminds me of a throwback fighter. I mean, what do you think about the matchup itself? And what do you think about the
it's a
outcome?
great
Who do you
matchup.
have winning? And do you see two sides to this fight? Like the first part of the fight and then the second part?
I do, I, I do see two sides because if we go based on Ridge's last performance, you know, he didn't look very good. You know, especially against an opponent that they I think replaced like 2 weeks before the fight. But I truly believe Regis took him lightly, took the whole fight lightly, fighting in his hometown. He's hanging around with his friends, family, you
Yeah.
know, all the promotion, it was all in his hometown. And that does happen to a lot of fighters
Yeah.
when they fight at home. They don't take it serious, especially when they know the opponent is no threat. They don't perform. They don't perform. They don't have the performance. I think Regis that beat Chon Cepeda is going to be very dangerous for Devin Haney. I think Devin Haney is going to box and use his jab a lot, and he's not going to risk exchanging any punches because if he does, he could be in trouble because Regis is very strong physically. Uh, I think this is a 50-50 fight, honestly. I don't know why I could probably choose Regis winning by decision because he's going to try to box and fight on the outside and keep that jab going. Uh, but Regis Prograis, I mean Haney's gonna box, jab, keep the fight on the outside, and just use his speed. Uh, Regis is going to try to fight on the inside, but he'll find his way in. It's a very very tough decision to pick a winner. I have to lean into a decision for Haney, but Regis is so strong that if he finds his way in, he could knock him out.
I agree with you. What does Regis need to do? Say you were in his corner. What advice would you give him? What would be the game plan?
You know what? Regis has a great trainer. His trainer. I've known him for a while. He's been around boxing. He has another champion at 130 that just signed with Top Rank, if I'm not mistaken. So he knows what he's doing. I don't need to say what Regis needs to do or what my game plan would be. He's got a great trainer behind him. But just Regis, if like I said, if we talk about Regis' last performance, then I would say Haney beats him convincingly. But I know Regis had to taking that fight lightly. Like I said, being in his hometown, uh, around his people, hanging around. I don't think he took this fight serious against an opponent that very few knew who he was. Nobody gave him a chance, and that guy almost pulled it off. So that was a wake up call for Regis. I think Regis is going to be in great shape for this fight. I think Regis is going to work his ass off to fight like the beast that he is, because he's known for being a beast. So he needs to fight like that to beat Haney.
I agree with you. There's two things. I think Devin Haney's going to want to prove to everybody that he won that fight against Loma, not being awarded that fight. So he's going to want to prove something that day. Regis is going to want to prove something based on that. And I know the Haney camp, they're not going based on that last performance. They're going based on the best Regis because it's easy for that to bite them in the ass as well. So they're preparing for the best Regis Prograis possible. I think Regis needs to possibly, as we know, cut the ring off, make it an ugly fight, force Devin Haney to fight, force
Yes,
him, or if not, he's going to get a boxing lesson. And if Devin Haney
that's
starts
what
working
Regis needs
off
to
the jab on his toes, he can easily don't mix it up. He can easily win a unanimous decision if he chooses to. But somewhere down the line, fighters dare themselves to be great, and when they engage, they're putting themselves at risk, especially when you're dealing with somebody that will not just knock you down, but knock you out.
Yeah, but I don't think Haney would do that. You know, you say fighters risk to be great. Haney's not one of them. He's not one of them. You know, if he wanted to be one of them, he would have gave Loma a rematch.
Very well said.
You know what? I, if we compare their last performances, that's why I didn't even bring up Haney's last performance against Loma, because he was fighting against one of the best fighters in the world. Loma is one of the best fighters in the world, one of the most difficult fighters in the world. His angles, his footwork, his combinations are so different, so difficult for anybody. So if we compare both last opponents, Regis was scheduled, supposed to have an easy fight in his home, around his family, around his close friends, in his hometown, and he didn't have a good performance. He had a really bad performance. Haney was fighting one of the best fighters. You know, if I think Lomachenko won, you know, that's my opinion, and it's also a lot of people's opinion. But Haney did fight one of the best fighters. So it was just totally different. We could say, okay, they both lost or they both look bad. But if Haney lost, was to one of the best fighters in the world. Regis, if a lot of people think he lost, or some people that thought he should have done it better, he did have somebody that he should have looked good against. So that's a big difference there. But going back to Haney daring to be great, he would have gave Loma a rematch. You know, Mayweather had those two fights where mostly everybody thought he lost against Castillo.
Ran it
Then
back.
he gave him a rematch. Same thing with Maidana. Same thing with Maidana. Everybody thought he lost against Maidana. What did he do? He gave him a rematch and then beat both of them pretty convincingly. That's what Haney had to do. He needed to give Loma the rematch just to prove everybody wrong. Just to say, look, I'm giving him a rematch and I'm going to show the world that I'm better than him. He's still fighting on another very dangerous fighter. So I'm not saying he's afraid, but if you want to dare to be great, then you got to do stuff like
I
this.
agree with you. I agree with you. Now that you broke it down, that makes complete sense. And so does. There's one thing, Robert, winning the fight, and there's one part being awarded the fight.
And a lot of times also the people the people handling your career, a lot of times the manager, the promoter, and in Haney's case, I think the dad also. Sometimes the fighter might want to do some fights, but the trainer, the manager, the dad, the promoter, maybe they're the ones that don't want to do it. So we don't know. There's a lot of fighters who say, "I do what my trainer says. I do what my manager says. I fight who my promoter wants me to fight. I'll fight who my dad wants me to fight. My dad trainer wants me to fight." So sometimes it's not the fighter's fault. Sometimes maybe the dads, the managers are the ones that don't want to risk some of those fights. So I don't just blame the fighter. Sometimes the managers, the trainers, the dads have a lot to do with those decisions, and it could easily be one of Haney's case. Maybe the dad's the one making those decisions for him. I don't know. I'm just trying to
When you say
guess.
that, I can't help but stop and think about Sean Porter. I think he had two more fights left in him. I think he could have finished the fight, but I wasn't there absorbing the punches. So I respect the decision that was made, but I do think about that during that time. Robert, you always know what's best for your fighter. You're in there because you've been in there. You put the mouthpiece on yourself. You engaged. You've been in the best ring in the seat in the house, in the center of the ring. So you know what it takes. If a fighter's having an off night. if it's just not his day. And you got to know when to put that hat on and say, hey, live and fight another day. How tough are those decisions that you've made? And have you ever had any regret in your whole career about, man, I should have let this go on or I should have stopped this a little sooner? That's a question that just came in from Shally
You,
Hollis from Stockton, California.
you know what? You know what? That's a great question because I'm not afraid or embarrassed to say that there is one fight that if I go back and I go watch it again, I could say I should have stopped it, and that's probably the Margarito versus Pacquiao fight. I was a lot younger, learning. Nowadays, I've stopped fights lately in my fighters where I see that they don't have anything left, or I see that they don't have in their eyes, they're not motivated to go out there and try to win, and I'll just wave it up. I'll stop the fight because I'd rather him go to their families, parents, brothers, sisters, maybe kids, and enjoy their life. But if I could go back to Margarito versus Pacquiao, maybe I should have stopped it. But I also know that I was a lot younger and I was learning, but I was also I was the head the head person in the corner, the main trainer, but I was the newer guy in the corner too. In the same corner with me, his managers Pancho and Sergio, they always work the corners. They were his managers for many years before I got involved. So they
Yeah.
knew him better than me too. So during the fight, when he would come to the corner and his eye was getting worse and worse, and they were Pancho's the cutting, so they were working the cut and saying, "Oh, he's okay." The doctor would come in. The doctor also came in a few times and also allowed him to continue. So it was the doctor, the managers, and myself. So no, none of them or none of us said, "I think it's time to stop it." You know, the doctor could have said it. The manager could have also said it because they've been with
Yeah.
Margarito his whole career, so they knew him better than me. I knew a Margarito who would be mad if I stopped the fight. I know Margarito would have been mad. I know Margarito uh, is one of those fighters that would die in the ring. So we gave him that opportunity. But if I could go back, I wouldn't care what he would tell me. He could kick my ass after the fight, but I want him to go home
Yeah.
to his wife and kids and be healthy. He's doing good. I talk to him often. He's very healthy, but I probably would have stopped the fight.
Thanks for sharing. I got one question. Okay. This is coming from Benji, who is one of Regis's like co-manager. He said, "Ask Robert what size does he wear, and he wants to send you a Rougarou sweatshirt." Yeah.
Oh, sweatshirt. I could use a large. When it comes to t-shirts, I
Okay.
use large, extra large. But sweaters, large. Yeah, those are
Yeah.
nice.
Yeah.
That's
Regis. Yeah.
that's rigid, right?
The Rougarou.
Cool, definitely. I'll be more than happy to wear it. Rich is great talented fighter, and I have my opinion, and it's not just me. It's the whole boxing world. His last fight, I totally think that he took it lightly. He didn't train. He didn't prepare the way he should have. If we see the Regis that beat Chon Cepeda, then Haney's in a real fight. Haney could be in
Exactly.
trouble.
And I'm glad you're the way you are, Robert. I live in the 559. This is Jose Ramirez territory. This is Arnold Barboza territory in LA. Cepeda in LA as well. For me, following Regis and supporting him, I've had people in the boxing world in my area block me, badmouth me, say that I'm not, and they're forgetting I'm media. Okay, a fan is one thing, a support is another thing. If somebody, if Regis gets knocked out, I have to interview the winner, or if not, I'm not the person for the job. So it doesn't matter if I'm friends with
Of
Devin
course,
Haney or Regis, whoever wins, I have to interview the winner. And it may not always be the one I'm supporting or rocking with, but being media, I got to see things the way I need to see things. And I see things differently than other people. But my whole point is because me supporting what Regis does, I've been blocked and people don't talk to me anymore. Me and Jose, we're cool. And Jose already knows, when that matchup comes, that's a whole different segment, and I have a whole different breakdown of the fight. But until it comes, I'm going to continue to do what I do. And you doing what you do as a trainer, and the decision you just made just now, I'm rocking it right there. He said, "Tell Robert he's 100% a Mexican that stands by his word, and I have nothing but respect for him." After you just said that.
I have to. My dad raised us to tell the truth and give our opinion. If I'm in boxing, and if I'm a trainer that everybody wants to ask questions and get and hear my opinion, I'm gonna be honest. I think Haney and his dad, I've known them. I know them. They're very nice people. They're very cool with me. But I'm gonna be me. I'm gonna say my honest opinion, and they know my opinion is. I think he lost to Loma. I'm still. I'm still cool with them. I don't think they're gonna come and punch me. They're gonna respect my opinion. I owe Haney a shirt of my Mexican soccer team, America. I promised him that I was going to give him one, and I owe it to him. Next time I see him, I have to give it to him because he asked me for one. So we're cool. I know I haven't seen him since my opinions, but I don't think they're mad at me. That's the way boxing is. I have Raymond Murataya who just called out Haney in his last fight. So we might even go against each other. We could still be friends. I'm not gonna hate him, or he's not gonna hate me. I'm not gonna be mad at him. I'm not gonna, he's not gonna be mad at me when Raymond beats him up. You know what I mean? It's a sport. We have to give our opinions, and if I have a fighter that's gonna go against him, then I'm gonna do whatever it takes to beat him, and his dad's gonna do the same thing to beat us. So it just makes boxing better when you have those kind of fights.
It does. Robert, I'm going to tell you a quick story, and it's kind of a goof on me. I work at the school with the kids, and I work at the continuation at the high school, and
Okay.
we don't have the 4.0 kids. We have the 3.2 kids, and they're there. They're looking for mentors, big brother, big sister. I took Jose Ramirez down there, bro. He made a huge impact on those kids. I mean, it was a win-win for the kids. And everybody said, how did it go? And I said, the kids won today. Jose signed every single autograph, every single thing. When we ran out of pictures and gloves and everything else, he was signing T-shirts, backpacks. That's the way Jose Ramirez is. He's a giver. He gives back. So awesome. I got this idea in my head. I said, well, I sure in the hell can't afford a WBC belt, but I'm going to get a replica one, and I'm going to call these guys that do things. Because like when I see kids go there and say, hey, they're tagging in the restroom, or I see them pick up garbage that doesn't even belong to them and throw it in the garbage can. I can't do it every day, but I'm thinking, okay, maybe they could be champion of the week. So in my mind, I wanted to order a replica WBC belt, have them hold it over their shoulder and take a picture and become champion of the week. I got that idea because Jose brought his belts out there, and these kids lit up. Once they put that belt around them, I mean, they just, for that moment, that time, they were champion of the world. They were on cloud nine, whether it was the IBF, the WBO, WBA, WBC. I'm talking about the two belts Jose had. So I ordered one.
Right.
I can't afford a replica, bro. I can't, the real one either. So I ordered a bootleg one. Robert, I don't know. That belt had to be made out of yarn or something, man. I got it. It was all flimsy. It was like a wet noodle, man. I'm like, what the heck is this? I mean, I couldn't even have the kids. I didn't even want, I said, I'll go ahead and send it back. So when I tried to send it back, you know how much they wanted to charge me to send it back? $89 shipping to send it back. Wow. So I'm just sharing my story, let you know where my heart is at. One day I'm going to get one, and I'm going to have all these kids take those pictures, and then I'm going to send it to the WBC one day. And they're going to see all these kids being a champion of the day or a champion of the week. Because a lot of times, we talk about being champions in life. And for them, when Jose brought it, for them just to touch it and just to look at it, Robert, their eyes were as big as frogs. I mean, it was awesome.
Call me sometime after today. maybe I could make some phone calls to the WBC. Maybe even the WBO. You don't know. I keep a good relationship with everybody. Maybe we could do something. Maybe I think we might be able to do something.
Hey,
Just we'll talk about it in another day or so. Just let me know, remind me, and we sure can do something.
I appreciate that, Robert. I was telling you the story because it's the truth, and I got stories to tell. And one day I'll come on your show, Robert, and I'll tell my stories. I'll tell you how I got involved in boxing with my mom taking me to the Chavez fights and Frankie Randall's and kicking back with Carl King and Emmanuel Stewart and you name it, man.
But for sure, call me later and let me know. We could probably try to get a belt out there to you, so you could do what you want to do, because that's something really nice of you. So definitely, I'll do my best.
I appreciate that, Robert. Robert, it's all time. Whenever you're on, bro, time just flies. It just flies by. I mean, my phone's going off and off. I can't get to every question, but I got to the
get as many as you want. We got time. No worries.
Okay, I'm going to go this last one right here. This is from Donnie Bertoncini, Bobo Bertoncini. He said, Robert, if you were to make a comeback fight, because you did talk about it, who would be in your corner? Who would be your trainer?
Well, nowadays, I would probably have to say my guys in my gym, Pete and Chepe, those are the ones that are helping me and doing exactly what I do. They've been able to handle fights without me, and they do great jobs also. So they're ready for the big fights too. So it would have to be them. Maybe a few years ago, before the team that I have, I would probably pick somebody else. But them two would probably be perfect. If we want to talk about somebody outside of my own team, nobody related to me or anything, we can bring them back. But I would have loved Emmanuel Stewart.
Very good pick. This is coming from former world champion Otis Griffin. He said, all this talks about fighters' comebacks. Any chance of your dad ever coming back to work the corner in a big fight?
Oh, my dad says no. I know that that's his decision, and he will not do it. Even with Mikey himself, toward the last few fights Mikey had, my dad wasn't working the corner anymore because he felt that he was already in a situation where he would take a little bit longer walking up the stairs and climbing down. So he wanted to give us, me, my son, my assistants, those extra seconds to work with Mikey. And that's why he says that he doesn't want to work the corners anymore. So I don't think we could bring him back. He says because those are seconds that could be very, very useful in the corner, especially if you have younger guys, myself, Pete, Chepe, Felipe, who are in the ring. They could jump into the ring if there's no stairs. If they have to go around the ring, they could jump. My dad can't do that. So I don't think he'll work the corner anymore. But he's always there, sitting right next to Brad Goodman. Still giving us advice. Yeah. You know what I mean? He's still sitting right there next to us. He might not work the corner, but he's there working the corner.
Wow, I've ignored this one, but this guy's pretty persistent. He just sent it again. This is coming from retired police officer Ernie Jaime. He said, have you ever told Ali Setback to please turn off his camera?
You know what? We do tell him, there's times where we want to work on something or talk about something, and we tell him, turn it off. And then he does. He's always been very, very respectful. We tell him, don't record sparring. He won't. If I tell him, get 10 seconds, that's all he'll do. He doesn't disrespect us. If we tell him, please keep the camera away, he does. He does. I don't want you to listen to this. I don't want you to hear this. He respects that. Everybody thinks he's in my gym every day. He comes around once a week. Sometimes, right now he's in the WBC convention, so So he hasn't been around this week, but I'm pretty sure next Monday he'll be there in the gym. You know, he comes on Mondays. You know, he's a kid that we like, you know, person that we like. He's shown us a lot of respect. We've helped each other out. I think his YouTube channel has helped me and my fighters a lot since I was in Oxnard, and vice versa. I think all the videos, the reality show, the times that he spent with us 15 years ago, starting in Oxnard, I think that has also helped him a lot. So, you know, we have a lot of respect, and you know, we all like Elia.
He's a very nice guy. One time I couldn't catch an Uber. There was no Ubers. It was like a 30-minute delay. We were at the Regis Zapata fight, Regis Prograis Zapata, and he gave us a ride home. He just said, "Hey, I'll give you a ride to the hotel."
Yeah.
And he let me interview him when he was in the car, and I asked about his relationship with Kobe Bryant. And also he gave me the nickname, The Only Voice. Mm-hmm. So I added to it. I said, the only voice that matters. So when people ask me about that, I said, well, Alex said that gave me that name. I just added that matters. So very good.
He's a good person.
Well, Robert, I appreciate your time, man. I appreciate you going through these questions, man. You're always a class act. And like you said, if I ever need anything to call you, same here, brother. You ever need anything around my area, you need me to go visit a gym, or you need me to do anything, use my platform. My platform is your platform, Robert. And Buena Familia, bro.
For sure. No, thanks, bro. You know, vice versa. Same thing with us. You know, my gym is your gym, so you're more than welcome anytime.
Ladies and gentlemen, I want to thank our guest, Robert Garcia, taking time out of his busy schedule for the Fighter's Voice, the only voice that matters, and we're simply knocking out the competition. As always, it's a wrap. Thumbs up for Richie.
Okay, fight fans, it's not goodbye, but until next week. Remember, it's always voiceography at its finest. So on behalf of Richard Ortiz, the special guests, saying hasta luego, babies. And always, thanks for listening.